Good day, everyone. My name is Alan Kate Sipalay, your first reporter from Group 2. Today, we are going to tackle about the genres of literature. But before that, let us recall first what is literature. So, from our previous meeting with Ms. Mendez, she mentioned that literature derives from the Latin word litera, which means letter or writing. So, literature in a broader sense consists of any written productions which may refer to those deemed to have artistic or intellectual value, or which deploy language in ways that differ from ordinary usage. So, in simplest term, literature is a body of writing. On the other hand, a genre is a particular style or type of writing. So when we combine the two genres of literature, these are categories that classify different types of written work based on their style, form, content, and techniques. So the first genre of literature is what we call fiction. So the word fiction is already familiar to everyone since we already encountered this word countless times during our high school and even elementary years. So when we say fiction, these are writings that tells us about imaginary people and event. So when we say imaginary, these are all made up. The characters, the events, the settings are all made up or based on the author's imagination. So fiction has subgenres. The first subgenres of fiction is what we call fantasy. Fantasy features magical elements, mythical creatures, and even fantastical worlds. Examples of fantasy are Peter Pan, Cinderella, and Little Mermaid. So I think everyone is familiar with those Disney animation. So the next subgenre is science fiction. This explores futuristic concepts, advanced technology, space exploration, and often examines the impact of science on society. So example of science fiction is, are you familiar with Big Hero? So the characters are Baymax, which is a robot, and Hiro Hamada, which is a person who is the master of the robot. So that is the example of science fiction. Next is mystery. It involves solving a crime or unraveling secrets, often with a detective or amateur sleuth as a protagonist. Example of mystery is Scooby-Dooby-Doo. I think you know that. That is our childhood best cartoon animation. Then, of course, thriller focuses on intense excitement from the word thriller and suspense and high stakes, often involving danger and crime. So that is also could be an example of Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Scooby-Dooby-Doo is both mysterious and thrilling. Then I will pass you to the next reporter. Thank you so much for listening.
So in continuation of the subgenres of fiction, we have horror. Horror aims to evoke fear, dread, and terror, often featuring supernatural elements or monsters. So one of the example of this is the movie Insidious. So next, we have romance. So it centers on love and relationships, typically with an emotionally satisfying and optimistic ending. So one of the example of this is the movie The House of Us. So next, we have historical fiction. So it's set in a past era and it blends historical facts with fictional elements, often exploring significant events or periods. So one of the example of this is the movie General Luna. So next, we have adventure. Adventure features action-packed plots, often involving journeys, quests, or exploration. So one of the example of this is the movie The Chronicles of Narnia. So next, we have gothic fiction. So it combines horror, death, and romance, often set in dark and mysterious or decaying locations. So one of the example of this is the movie Dracula. So that's it, and I will pass you to the next reporter.
So let's proceed to nonfiction. If we say nonfiction, it is an account of real people, places, and events. Fact, nonfiction, that's why it's called nonfiction. So there are some subgenres of the nonfictions. These are autobiographies. If we say autobiographies, the detailed account of a person's life written by someone else. At ato siyang matawag og secondary account. So it covers significant events, achievements, and personal stories written in the third person point of view, he or she. So, ana siya. So, let's proceed to autobiographies. If we say autobiographies, a self-written account of the author's life, it provides personal insights and reflections on significant real-life events. So, for example, ang teacher is magpakita og mga video, something nga ingon na. Then, ang student, maunay muhatag og insight or reflection regardless to the video. So, written in first person point of view, I, me, or my. So, let's proceed to narrative nonfiction. If we say narrative nonfiction, it is a story or narrative that happen in real life situations. This is an real characters and the places are also real. So let's proceed to periodicals. If we say periodicals, it is an magazines ni siya. So newspapers and journals that are written regularly, once a week, once a month, or once a year. So let's proceed to reference materials. If we say reference materials, it is a books with facts in alphabetical order. Di alphabetical order na siya. Example of this is a dictionary or encyclopedia. So, let's proceed to memoir, a personal account of a specific experience or periods in an author's lives, often focusing on emotions and memories rather than a complete life story. Si memoir daw, nag-focus ni siya sa emotions and memories rather than daw sa complete life story.
I will discuss about history, self-help, travel writing, essays, true crimes, journalism, philosophy, and science writing. So I will discuss first about history. History is a study from the past. This genre often requires extensive research and analysis, drawing from primary sources such as documents, artifacts, and testimonies. The second one is the self-help. Self-help is a type of genre that offers advice, strategies, and techniques about self-improvement and growth. The third one is the travel writing. So travel writing is a type of writing where authors share their experience and or observations while traveling different places. The fourth one is essay. Essay is a piece of writing where authors share their thoughts, ideas, and arguments about a particular topic. The fifth one is a true crime. True crime is a type of genre that investigate in real life crimes. Sixth one is journalism. So journalism is a practice of observing, reporting, and sharing news and information to the public. The seventh one is a philosophy. So philosophy is a study of big questions about life, existence, and knowledge, and how we should live. It involves thinking deeply with things like what is real, what is wrong. The eighth one is a science writing. So this genre often highlights the impact of science on society, exploring how new knowledge can change the world.
Hi everyone, I am here to discuss about the poetry. So first, what is poetry? So poetry, it is a lines of poetry or verse are written in stanzas. It may include patterns of rhyme to capture the reader's interest and uses carefully selected words and phrases to create vivid pictures in the reader's mind. So the poetry, guys, is very sabotable, right? It is written in stanzas and uses word or phrase carefully. And there are five subgenres of poetry. The first one is lyric poetry. Lyric poetry expresses personal emotions, thoughts, and feelings often in a musical and rhythmic manner. So from the word lyric, nag-express siya sa atong own emotion or self-emotion, atong hunahuna o kasing-kasing or atong nabati. Often sa musical or rhythmic nga manner. And the next one is narrative poetry. Tells a story through verse with the characters, a plot, and a setting. The next one is epic poetry. A long narrative poem that details in the heroic deeds and adventures of legendary figures of the history of a nation. So from the word epic, it is long narrative poem na nagdetalye sa history sa atong nasod or ini nasod. And the next one is sonnet. A 14-line poem with a specific rhyme scheme and meter, often exploring themes of love, nature, or philosophy. So, ang sonnet, 14 line ni siya nga specifically nag-rhyme scheme and meter o nag-explore po siya sa gugma, kinaiyahan og ang filosofiya. So, the last one is haiku. A traditional Japanese form consisting of 3 lines with 5, 7, 5 syllable structures, typically focusing on nature and season. So haiku, if we familiar with it, it is a Japanese word. I don't think so, but that's in my thinking. A traditional Japanese nag-consist siya og tulo ka line, which is the first line is 5, the second line is 7, and the third line is 5. Onya, nag-focus pud siya sa kinaiyahan og sa panahon. And that's it.
So let's proceed. So free verse. So poetry does not unfollow a specific rhyme and scream or meter, allowing greater freedom and expression. So next is LJ. A mournful or reflect poem often written to limit and dead or express sorrow. So next is ode. A formal, often or ceremonious poem that praises or glorifies an individual event or thing. Okay, let's proceed to the ballad. So ballad is narrative poem often written to quatrains with a rhyme scheme, telling the dramatic or romantic story. So example include the rhyme of the Ancient Mariners by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Okay, so prose poetry, a bridge form that combines a characteristic of poetry with the prose format, often lacking line breaks but maintaining the poetic elements like imagery and the rhyme. So example includes work by Charles Baudelaire. The last part is dramatic modulo, a poem in which a single speaker, often a functional characteristic, addresses the silent listener, revealing their thoughts and feelings. So example include is Ballast Dosher by Robert Browning.
Hi, good morning. This is Christine, the reporter number 7, and now we are going to discuss on what is drama all about. Drama is a type of literature that is written for the purpose of being performed in front of an audience. So when you hear the word drama, you probably think of your favorite dramatic television show or movie. But literary drama has less to do with a serious storyline and more to do with stage performances. Moreover, it presented to an audience. It has a cast of characters. We have a narrator who gives important information, and the parts of it are called acts or scenes, and the dialogue that tells what the actors say, and the stage directions in italics. So that is all our definition when we say about drama. So today, we are going to identify the different types of drama in literature. So the first types of drama that we have is tragedy. So tragedy, it focuses on serious, often somber themes where the protagonist faces downfall, suffering, or death due to a fatal flu or external forces. So just from the word tragedy, you can assume that the ending will be sad. But there is more to a tragedy than a play with no happy ending. You can tell if a play is a tragedy if it includes the protagonist with a tragic flow, circumstances that quickly get out of control in a funny way. So I have here the example, the right side. As you can see the picture that talks about the rival of Othello for its cruel violence, its hero's tragic downfall, and its historically sad ending. So Othello loses everything he has ever loved or wanted because he can't trust that he deserves the life he has. So next we have here the historical drama. So historical drama, it is a set in a specific historical period. It dramatizes real events, figures, and historical settings, often blending fact with fiction. So from the word itself, historical, so it plays in accordance to our history. Next is comedy. So comedy, it aims to entertain and amuse the audience, often through humor, misunderstandings, and satire, typically ending on a positive note. So comedies are usually humorous plays, but being funny isn't the only way to define a comedy. So one of the most famous examples of a comedy is from William Shakespeare, which is the Much Ado About Nothing, which is a little bit of clever banter and more than a few silly misunderstandings, like all proper Shakespearean comedies like It Ends with a Wedding. Romantic drama: it centers on love and relationships, exploring the emotional and romantic aspects of the characters' lives, often with elements of conflict and resolution. So that is drama, romantic drama all about. Melodrama is characterized by exaggerated characters and emotions, often with clear distinctions between good and evil, focusing on sensational and dramatic plot lines. So when you hear drama, you probably think of melodrama, right? But melodrama sell as a serious story in serious ways. Not sure if a drama is a melodrama, yet the ending of it is sometimes happy or sometimes unhappy. Tragicomedy blends elements of both tragedy and comedy, often containing serious themes with moments of humor and typically ending on a hopeful or ambiguous note. So when you combine the elements of a comedy and a tragedy, you get a tragicomedy. Tragicomedies are more complex than a drama with a few jokes or comedy with a serious scene. Some ways to tell if you're watching a tragicomedy are if it has a serious storyline told in humorous, sardonic, or snide way, or an ambiguous theme. Musical drama integrates songs, music, and dance into the narrative, often to enhance the emotional impact of the story. So it's tempting to put opera and musical drama into the same category. However, the production proves that there are significant differences between the two. Mystery drama revolves around the solving of a crime or uncovering secrets, often involving detectives or investigators. So I have here the example, which is the True Detective Night Country. It is one of the best examples when we say or when we talk about mystery drama. The last types of drama that we have is fantasy drama. So it incorporates magical, supernatural, or fantastical elements within the storyline, often set in imaginary worlds. So one of the best example of a movie that we will relate to this fantasy drama is the movie of Encantadia.